all the councillors here for consideration, and that's something that we do have plans to look at adopting something similar and fit for purpose in our rural and urban municipalities, so something that works for our to cover our entire area. So yes, it's on the radar, and yes, we can do better to beautify our streetscapes and let residents participate in that. And I think that's something that came through loud and clear from all the councillors when we discussed it recently.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just had a text saying that we have no audio on our.
We are aware
You're aware
of
of
it.
it?
Do I have any other questions from the gallery? Yes, Mr. Thanks, Pat.
Mayor, I noticed you've been referring to our new CEO as Lachlan now. He stepped up in grade, no longer Lucky, but Lachlan. I'd like to ask a question, and may I congratulate our new CEO on his appointment?
You may.
Congratulations. May you last a good 5 years. And may you not hear from me too often.
Been an average 5 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Secondly,
Yep.
if you would, I'd like to congratulate or thank Councillor Tenby, who I chose to be here tonight, for her valuable contribution to the discussion and debate around the table. She always was very well prepared, very strong in expressing herself, and I think she will be missed around the table. Let's hope the Councillor who replaces her will be as efficient.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that. Yes, yes, he'd like to respond to that one.
Thanks for that, Pat. And just to clarify, I've been known as Lockie for my whole life, and people do refer to me interchangeably as Lockie or Lachlan, so I'll answer to both.
Yes.
Firstly, through you, Mayor, I
Yes.
would like to thank the CEO and congratulations, Buddy, and the staff, and especially the Manager of Economic Development for the very detailed and informative report on the AGM resolution on lease and horticulture support for enabling small-scale production in the Huon Valley. The report highlights the importance of local food production and the engagement of the community in this. Since 2000, and I realise that council cannot solve this problem. So my question is whether the Heartland project that's currently starting, and especially the part of it that is community to community, can be advertised more widely outside the public school system, perhaps on council's website, in local papers, on social media, so that parents and grandparents and other community members are encouraged to be involved and perhaps share land where that might be appropriate.
Thank you for that. Can I take that? Yeah, can I take that one on notice? Yeah, and come back to you with some what we can do in that area for that, if that's all right.
Yes, that would be good, because I think it's really important. what seems to me to happen is that the Food Hub is very engaged with the people who are already involved
In it.
in local food production.
Yeah.
But the word isn't getting out to the broader community, and I think that's where we've got to go now.
Yep, thank you. Yep, no
Thank you.
problems. Thank you. Yes,
Andy Waterhouse, Ranelagh. Mayor Doyle, may I ask a question through the chair to Councillor Armstrong?
you ask it to me and then I'll determine. Thank you.
Okay. I've been observing social media sites and I wanted to ask a question that Councillor Armstrong was the author of the thread, and I just want to ask a comment was made, and I just want to ask a specific question from that word, verbatim, some word to word. I could let you know the question if you like.
Yes,
Is it-
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, dear. So you can't ask questions anymore through the chair?
Well, I'll determine once you ask it whether I'm going to accept it or
I'll do
pass on.
part of. It's not the whole lot. I've got a lot of information. I've been informed of more information
Yep.
through Councillor
Yep.
Armstrong. This is a response to Elisa Bolton, but through it down further, Councillor Armstrong has stated, I entered council with some very firm thought processes of what could be done better, and there are things that still have a way to go, and there are things I was wrong about. The question I have to ask Councillor Armstrong, what are those things you were wrong about? And I have done in-depth, interviews through Huon FM, and I've got to know Councillor Armstrong. So, as a community member, I'm curious what the answer would be.
I can answer. What I'm
Well-
going to do, I'm going to give you an answer. You're probably not going to be happy with me, but I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to give, it wasn't on, sorry, I didn't have my mic on. I'm going to give you an answer, all right, for tonight. I can answer your question as it relates to council business, because that's what you're referring to, council business. The Facebook thread in question highlights the risk of engaging on an ungoverned social media platform. And this is a subject about which councillors have had several discussions. Whilst individual councillors have a right to represent themselves, council will undertake a briefing with all councillors in response to this thread. So at the moment, we'll deal with, we're going to do some in-house with the thread, but I think that that's the end of that discussion as far as tonight's concerned, Andy. Have you another question, or is that your last one?
Well, I'll ask you the question is why are councillors, well, it was not an unreasonable question to put forward to Councillor Armstrong, I feel, but I just feel, an injustice and out of order has taken place. You've answered it.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like it or I do, but I feel this should have been addressed long ago, as it was years ago with Beck Enders, which there was a ban on social media. I don't understand when I've asked a councillor here, Councillor Burgess, on the phone, back when the late Mike Wilson, Councillor Wilson, I said to Councillor Burgess, would you come on? It was to do with the budgeting.
Yeah.
And he said there'll be no more of the old Mike Wilson days. Sally is the spokesperson. So I'm getting confused. What's the difference coming on air with me at Huon FM to interaction on social media? And I'm not, and I've asked Toby as well.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I asked you, can I just say to you, you didn't get back. I asked you politely. I had a meeting of a number of questions with regards to Huon FM. And I asked you for permission, would you, through Toby Thorpe, Councillor Thorpe, but you haven't responded to that. That was 2 months ago. So I'm a bit disillusioned with the openness and transparency.
Right.
I'm not being disrespectful to any councillors here. Yeah.
Can I just say that there was no blanketing from past Mayor Enders as far as social media?
On Facebook there
No,
was.
there was not. We were not told that I couldn't go on Facebook. I can vouch, I can say
What,
that
she-
with
well,
my hand on heart that that
okay.
was not true. I just haven't had a chance to get back to you to come on the radio yet. We've had a lot happen in December, and so I'm really sorry that I haven't got back to you yet, but I will now that we've come back, and we have now appointed a new CEO, and there's a lot of things that are falling into place for us. So I'll get back to you on that. But at the moment, tonight, I have answered the question that on social media as much as we're going to. So,
Okay, I respect.
Can I just ask you?
yep.
Sorry, through you, Mayor. Can I just not mention anything to do with council business, because that particular case is a council business thing. But
Do you really need
yes,
to?
I do really want to. I do really want to, because I feel it needs to be said. What I want to say is nothing to do with what that discussion was about or what the discussion I'm going to have with you is about. What I personally find now is the conversations that I would have with people on Facebook, in person or anywhere else, are not the conversations that I was having with those people before I became a councillor. So I was very critical of things that I saw from a public perspective before I became a councillor, which I've never hid, totally transparent. You could rip up anything that I wrote and I would wear that, because that was where I was at that time. Where I am now is from the inside looking out. So my opinion on things has changed, not because it's different, not because there's corruption, not because anything's hidden, because we are trying very hard to change the ways of the past and the way people saw how things were functioning. I just want to let people know that what I thought council operated and did before I was a councillor is not actually what I perceived it to be. So when I make comments like that, it's because I now see how things are really done. We work really hard together. We don't hide things from the public. We are transparent with the public. And that is why I say I saw things differently before, because I did see things differently before. I don't mean it in pertaining to any particular case. Sally does not hush us, and I'm not speaking about the content of that thread. I am simply replying to what you said. What did I mean by I see things differently? I see things the way they're done. And I'm not a liar, and I say it like it is. So if that will answer your question, hopefully it will.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Councillor Armstrong. And Mayor Doyle, thank you. And congratulations to the new GM, Lockie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, you may.
Nigel Goodwin from Upper Woodstock. I have a question from the Huon Valley Zoning Association. Back in June last year, there were 189 outstanding DAs to be assessed, most which were not yet regarded as valid. This month's report says 176 are now outstanding, which is not a big movement there, I suppose, but could Council advise how many of these are regarded as invalid and therefore vulnerable to needing a complete resubmission come the new LPS in the near future? And what is Council's plan for getting this backlog through before the workload of transitioning to assessment under the new scheme?
Thank you for the question. I'll pass that through to the CEO.
Sure. Yeah, we've answered a very similar question previously, and there's quite a bit of detail to it. So we'll take that on notice and come back to you with a fulsome answer.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have any other questions from? No? Okay, thank you very much for your participation. 8.2, deputation addresses to council. Do we have any, CEO? Okay. Petitions?
No.
Are there any planning authority reports?
No.
Thank you. General reports. Are there any councillors tabling their activities tonight? Yep. And would anyone like to speak of anything on their activities? No? Yes?
I would just like to say what a pleasure it was. I know a number of councillors also did this intending local schools to present council's sponsored awards to local school students at the end of the year was quite a pleasure and exciting to see what young people are achieving in our local schools. So I really enjoyed that in December and just wanted to wish the graduates in the Huon Valley good luck for this year.
Thank you. Okay, 11.001/24. The recommendation, do I have a councillor to move a motion that the general reports and minutes for the period of 1 to 31 December 2023 be received and noted? Councillor Armstrong, a seconder. Councillor Gibson. Councillor Armstrong, do you wish to speak to? No? Okay. Any other questions or? No?
I just had a couple of very minor things.
Yes?
I just noticed that in the staff exit by business unit, there's a disproportionate turnover in community wellbeing sector of 40%. So I had a question there about whether that's standard or to be expected, or if there's any sort of clarity that could be shown on that. I also was wondering whether there was any timing for the Community Climate Change Advisory Group. And the other, I had one minor comment too. There was mention of the additional $409,000 turnover for that October weekend with the art trail, and I just think it should also be included that the Writers' Festival was the same weekend, so there was a double, you know, it wasn't all the art trail, and I think that should be noted.
Thank you for that. That can be noted?
Yeah, absolutely. Note that. We can note that, absolutely. With regards to setting up the Climate Advisory Committee, I don't have an update on that at the moment. We have our Climate Change Officer has commenced, and it is it's on their work plan to do, but I'll need to come back to you with specifics about how progressed we are, because there's a number of items that they need to be working on. With regards to unpacking further turnover in any one area, obviously we just need to be careful about the level of information we share on human resources matters in an open forum. I don't know if Patty, did you have anything further you wanted to say specifically on that? Either of you guys? Yep.
I can talk. It's 4 individuals that left, and my understanding is the majority are in some of the trainees that we had in the children's services space. Yeah.
Is that sufficient answer? Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong, have you any closing or? No. Okay. All right, well, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion is carried. Council workshops. Would you like to advise on the workshops that have been held, please? I would. On 17th of January, Council held a workshop focused on the restructure of Council's business and the organisation. So the purpose of the workshop was to walk councillors through the strategy and answer questions related to that restructure. So a proposal that's been put to all staff at Council was also provided to councillors on that same day. So a proposed restructure based on initial feedback from staff. We went through a detailed exploration of each department, its purpose and its structure under that proposal with the councillors, and invited their questions as the first part of consultation with councillors within that formal consultation process that's underway in parallel with staff. Thank you. 13 councillor questions. There was 2 and they've been answered within there from December. 13.2 questions given on notice. There was no councillor questions given on notice for tonight's meeting. 13.3 questions without notice. Councillors, are there any questions? Yes, I'll go Councillor Armstrong first. Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, Mayor, I just would, I would like to just, there we go. I would just like to ask a question. It's actually 3 parts and it's directed at Lyle, so we'll go through whoever to Lyle, please. It's about the pool. It's a question that is made up of 3 parts, so I'll probably ask the first part first. And it's from members of the community that I've just been talking about. Very happy with the upgrades, very positive stuff. But the first question would be, the Port Huon Sports Centre will see the introduction of a new system later this year. Why not sooner? And shall I continue, or do you want to answer that first? Yes. And could we please know what the system will be? Will it be a swipe card entry system, for example? And how will it record patronage? Oh, I'll just ask you the last one as well. And will this system be used in both pools and installed at the same time? Please.
Okay, thank you for that,
Oh, and the
Councillor.
cost, please, roughly.
Yep, okay. I'll put that through you.
That's it.
CEO through to the acting.
Happy to take that one, Lyle?
Thank you.
So I'll go through each question. So, well, I'll answer and hopefully I'll cover all 3. And
Yeah.
you can let me know if I don't.
Sorry,
So,
Lyle, can you just clarify that the system we're talking about is the point of sale system?
Yes, the point of sale system.
Yeah.
I didn't actually quite know what the name of it was.
Yep.
But yeah,
I
point
just
of sale.
yeah, I assumed. So it's a point of sale and a membership management system. So it sort of does a dual function. The name of the system is called Clubworks. If you go into Google and you put in Clubworks, there's a whole website there that will show you the functionality. In terms of the implementation, there's quite a significant amount of work required to sort of to populate the back end, get all the hardware, and enable functionality. We also have to undertake training. So the plan is that we will deliver it in a staged approach, stage 1 will coincide with the reopening of Port Huon Pool. And then stage 2 will be with the next season of Huonville Pool. And the reason we're doing that is just because we're managing competing priorities, so officers are across a number of projects. But the intention is that, yes, it will be across both pools. It will not be at the same time. It'll be implemented at Huonville at the start of the next season.
Fabulous, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
That answered your question? Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Jessup.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, this is one potentially for you or the CEO. There's been obviously some concern in the community about the impact of the closure of Flood Road. And there certainly seems to be some confusion with members of the public about the fact that council might control these works or the road itself. So firstly, I'd like to ask you if you could clarify if this is a council project that council is responsible for. I think I know what the answer is because I have listened. And then as a consequence, I suppose, given that I do not believe that it's our project to control, you know, what escalation process have you got in your back pocket if it does become what some people fear that will be bottlenecks all the way to Franklin or somewhere like that? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jessup.
I can answer that, and I'll ask Sue to fill in any technical gaps if I've got any. But yeah, to clarify, the project is undertaken by a contractor on behalf of the Department of State Growth. Main Road, Huonville, and the Esplanade are both state growth roads. They're not council roads. It's the bypass and the management of all roads involved are not council's responsibility. However, our responsibility is to represent the community, and we are doing that. So we were given a short window of notice around the proposed closures and the management regime that was being put in place. We immediately raised concern that's in line with what the public feedback has been, that we are worried that an already stretched intersection will be further stretched, particularly when school holidays recommences. So we have escalated that with both the contractor and with the Department of State Growth. They have cited the data that they have available on traffic movements to justify their approach, but they have put in place monitoring at the intersection. They've only been doing that of a morning, and council has requested from today they've actually gone to doing it of an afternoon as well to monitor the traffic wait times. The expectation is not that when you undertake works of this nature that there will be no interruption to service. It's unavoidable. So that's what they're working to. And the allowable rule for service disruptions is 15 minutes in this case. So that's ultimately the level of interruption that is being attempted to be managed to by the Department of State Growth and their contractor. We've just made sure that they have data to back that up, because they've used data to justify their approach so far. They are also very aware, as we are, because we've raised it with them, and it has been helpful that the public have listened to us and have raised the concern directly with the department. So they're well and truly aware of the impacts around school holidays, and they will move to put some type of traffic management in. We don't know what that may or may not be, but they've expressed some ideas to me. So we're doing our job to represent the public, and it's great that the public are sending that comment straight through to DSG as well.
Yes. Do we have any other? Yes, councillor. I'll come to you. Yes.
Through you, Mayor, to the CEO, I guess. I'd like some clarification around the process, because I've heard, as the Chair of Arts and Culture, and also about the Health and Wellbeing Committee, that there's discussions about disbanding those committees. The committees were formed as a result of council resolution, and I guess I just want to be sure that that there's a proper process, and that councillors are involved in any decisions to disband those committees.
Okay, thank you for that, councillor Gibson. I'll pass that through to the CEO.
Thanks, Councillor Gibson, and thanks for giving me an idea of this question before we started. So I had a chance to quickly check with Lyle, who's well positioned to answer this one. So I'll throw it over to him.
So yeah, you're correct in terms of the Arts and Culture and Health and Wellbeing committees. They've come to the end of their particular term, and as per the committee's policy, which is an endorsed policy of council, we are guided in terms of assessing those committees. So we're busy going through that process at the moment, and there's a number of key principles in that policy that talk to what we need to consider. Once we've done that process, we will draft a report with those considerations and our officer recommendations in respect of that will come up to council, and it will be at the council's for the council's consideration. Just to clarify, well, not to clarify, just to sort of broaden it, is that this is not unique to these two committees. It's been done previously in line with the policy for our weed working group now, which used to be a formal committee, our interim committee, which is now a working group, and our waste working group was formed rather than a committee. So that's sort of it has been done previously, and that's the approach we're taking today.
Is it possible for councillors to discuss this at a workshop rather than it coming directly as a report?
Yes. Yep.
Is that, you're fine now? Yep, okay. Councillor Thorpe, then Councillor Burgess.
I just have a question about the Southern Tasmanian Waste Authority. I note that the inaugural strategic plan was being drafted by WLF some time ago. I was just wondering what Huon Valley Council's engagement is with that, and if we have any projected benefits from engaging with that organisation with that inaugural strategic plan.
With straw, the one that we've got the report in here.
Yeah, there is a report, yeah.
There is a group. There is a, what are they? Can I get back to you on that? Because there is a group, and we've sort of had questions. So without going into that any further, I'd like to, get back to you on that one if I can. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Councillor Burgess.
For you, Mayor, is it possible to get a definite date for the opening of the Port Ewan pool yet?
I can answer that. We're in the process of getting our air ducting, the what do you call, is that right? The ventilation. And so at the moment we cannot put a firm date on that. Okay, sorry about that, but we are in the process of doing that. There is a lead time for that as well, but we are working. The project manager is working very hard on making sure that happens as quick as possible.
And we will publicise those dates as soon as possible. It's in our interest to, and really promote that opening so that we get maximum utilisation of what will be a fantastic space for the community.
Looks pretty specky. Yes.
Just on the Port Huon pool, there's been a request over a period of time for wheelchair access, and then there are some equipment there that has been there but it's not suitable anymore. I don't know, is there any chance of that being rectified?
Well, the problem, the thing that's happening at the moment is that it's no good fixing the lift that goes into the pool when the toilets and that need to be upgraded. So we've got to do one before we can do the other. So in the big picture, the toilets and that are in a grant. It's part of that, larger picture. And then once that's done, well, then we'll be able to make sure that we can get that lift either. If not that one, we'll apply to get a new one. Yeah. Do I have any others? No? Yes, Councillor Armstrong.
Dave just made me think of something. So if we can't get the lift in the short term, is there a ramp-like access that we can have put into the pool temporarily and taken out?
Not when we haven't got the facilities there for the person to change. And at the moment we need to upgrade that area there.
Is that a legislation that they need to have facilities?
Yes.
Oh, it is, okay. So
yes. We've got to do the
I'm not up to date.
We need to make sure that we've got compliant, appropriate facilities for equal accessibility to the whole venue.
Yeah.
And that's what that bigger picture piece
Well, that's
is.
good to know, because people have said to me, can't they just put a ramp in?
No.
So now I know why they can't put a ramp in. So, thank you.
Okay. Do I have any others? No? Okay. 13.4, councillor notions of motion. There's no councillor notice of motion for tonight's meeting. Okay, so we're straight on to... That's correct. 14.001/24, the appointment of the Deputy Municipal Emergency Management Coordinator. I'll refer the councillors to the recommendation of this amendment. You've all got that there. It's on a piece of paper. I'll read. It's the urgent matter that came in. It came in at 14.001. I'll read it out for you. The recommendation is the report on the appointment of a Deputy Municipal Emergency Coordinator for the municipal area be received and noted. B, in accordance, be nominated for the position of Deputy Municipal Emergency Management Coordinator for the municipal area for a period of 5 years in accordance with the Emergency Management Act 2006. Okay. Right. So B, Steve Bobbs be nominated. Thank you. So, do I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Burgess. Councillor Armstrong, do you wish to speak to that?
Not really, thank you, Mayor, but I think it'll be a good idea to actually get this going.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Thorpe.
I just have a question in regards to probably the HR implications. If this position, I assume, is sort of an on-call arrangement, that's why we need to have a deputy in case the Hannah is not available. Is there any remuneration for that time being offered to the person to receive the position?
Yeah, there's an on-call, a shared on-call roster between the emergency management coordinator and the recovery coordinator, as well as the two deputies. So there's 4 people that share a roster and are remunerated for the time that they're on that on-call.
Do I have any other questions? No? Councillor Armstrong, you wish to close? Okay. Well, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. The motion is carried. Agenda number 15.001/24, the draft 10-year strategic plan 2024 to 2034. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Jessup and a seconder. Councillor Gibson. Councillor Jessup, do you wish to speak to this?
Pardon me, only briefly, Mayor. I think there's been a lot of work done on the strategic plan, and it's a sort of layered document from the vision work that we've done and so forth. So I think the fact that it's actually got to this point, it's now really important, I think, to put it out as soon as possible for community consultation. And I note it's only a relatively limited time, but if we're going to actually pay any homage to this document in our budget planning, we need to get it done and get it organised. So I just commend that we get it out for public comment so we can move ahead with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any other? Yes, Councillor Gibson.
Mate, it is a short period of time, and I would like to see it longer, but I can understand why it's shorter. I think in that short time frame, can we make a concerted effort to advertise widely immediately, because it isn't. I think it's a really important document. It's really important that as many people see it as possible, and their comments get included. So I don't know whether that requires an amendment and I don't know what the proposal is as far as advertising it, but just putting it on the council website's not enough. Nobody will see.
Maybe I can go on the radio and put it out there a little bit
That'd
more,
be great.
Randy.
Yeah. Have we got a radio person here? Oh.
We can share the communication engagement plan related to this with councillors. I mean, I don't think you need to amend the recommendation. Obviously, we want to push it and promote it. So I'll give you that commitment and share with you that plan, so you can tell us if we need to pump that up further if we need to.
Yeah, that'd be good. Thanks.
Okay. Do I have any other comments or questions? Would you like to close, Councillor?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If that's the case, I'll put the motion, and all those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion is carried. 15.002/24, review of council policy, special committee member code of conduct. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Yes, Councillor Thorpe.
So I'm moving an amended motion to what the recommendation is.
Thank you.
Would you like me to read that out? Or?
Yes, please.
So I've circulated the amendment to councillors, but the recommendation is amending Part B to the following: having been reviewed, the committee's policy, Gov Corp 017, be amended in accordance with the policy contained in attachment A to this report, and to replace the proposed contravening this code of conduct section and replacing with the following: contravening this code of conduct. If the chairperson believes a member has contravened this code of conduct, they will in the first instance raise the matter with the Chief Executive Officer, outlining 1, the name of the member, 2, the provision in this code of conduct that the member is alleged to have contravened, and 3, the detail of the behaviour of the member that constitutes the alleged contravention. Upon receiving the correspondence, the Chief Executive Officer will refer the matter to Council for decision.
So the A and C remain the same. Do I have a councillor to move the amendment to the motion?
Can I ask a question? Just before I do.
Is it got to be
Back to councillor.
all right? Quick question before then. Yep.
It's just with regard to it being the chairperson, I was wondering if that should read, if a member believes there has been a contravention of the code, because if the chairperson is the one who's, so I'll second it as that because I was actually going to say something very similar.
Right, so that will read now,
If
The-
a member
if a member,
believes there has been a contravention of
Yep.
this code.
are you happy with that? All right.
I'll
do-
second.
So you moved it? Yep. Toby moved it. Paul seconded it. Do you want to speak to that?
Just briefly, I wanted to make the amendment to sort of take the pressure off the chair to hold responsibility in managing, these claims in contravention of code of conduct. And now with Councillor Gibson's suggestion also enables any member of our council committees to be able to use this process. So yeah, just taking the pressure off the chair, but also now enabling all members of these committees to be able to follow this process.
Okay, thank you. Do I have anyone else that, yes, Councillor Gibson?
Interestingly, I was going to do something very similar. So I support it absolutely. And I think it's good for any of these sort of contraventions to come to the attention of the CEO at the very beginning, and even if it's just to be aware of it.
Yep. Thank you. Do I have any other? Yes, Councillor Burgess?
I'd just like to comment that the fact that it is a council code of conduct they'd be breaking, so everything should come back to the CEO. And
Yeah.
I think it's a good move.
Yep, thank you. Okay. If there's no other, do you like a close, Councillor? No? Okay, well, if that's the case, I'll put the motion. All councillors approve that motion. Amendment to the motion. Yep, that's all councillors. And the motion is carried. Agenda number 15.003/24, lease of public land, the Weybridge Cottage, Burton's Reserve, 16 Charlton Street? Yep, Signet. I refer the councillors to the recommendation. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Yep, Councillor Gibson. Seconder? Councillor Armstrong. Do you wish to?
Only to say that I think this is an excellent little building, and there's some some good history there, and it's a shame for it not to be used. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think it's a good idea.
Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Jessup.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I note with a level of distress that we're moving a motion to lease, to give the council the ability to lease that building, yet we've actually got the finalised selection report for the advertised leased process, and the advertisement went out on the 5th of January. So there is a failure of process there, let me just say, which makes it very difficult for us to really interrogate this, but nonetheless I will. So Mayor, the question I have is and there's a statement here in point 5, the premises has remained vacant since the time, and it's not in a suitable condition for occupation, however is available for storage purposes only. On whose assessment, to start with? And probably more specifically, have we taken a strategic look at the building? Because it's somewhat central, it's next to the CWA, so we've got traffic going there. What's the best use of this building? And you know, we have the hub here in Huronville, which is a great facility and used all the time, day and night. You know, we've got the town hall obviously in Signet, which is used in a different way, I think, for different purposes, just as we have here. But I suppose I'd be, and this is where my dilemma comes in, we've obviously gone down a process with boots on and flying. Yeah, I'd actually like to say let's hasten slowly and have a look at the building. I'd really like to see a bit more, yeah, if it's not suitable, is it $10,000 not suitable, or is it $500,000? Is it a fire hazard? Is it, yeah, I don't know. But if possible, I'd like to see it used for things other than storage. But I'm just in a bit of a dilemma, Mayor, because
We're not going. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just talking, not talking about what
No, but the statement
Yeah,
here
yeah.
says it's not fit for anything other than storage. I want to test that statement. So I don't know how I do that with this. So do I vote against this? Or do I, and that's my dilemma, which I'm going to have to decide in the next 30 seconds or so. But that's a statement that it is as Councillor Gibson says, and I've looked at the photos of it and looked at the photos inside it. Yeah, it's potentially a really useful little space for groups, for community, and a container's a really good space for storage as well. And there's plenty of space to put a container there if that's a solution that we need for more storage in the community. It's
Thank
not
you.
really a question there, it's just a
No,
statement
it's a statement, yeah.
of distress.
Thank you.
Well, can I just acknowledge that, look, you're not wrong. It's not an ideal process. And I think it is, I guess, situational to that building, which is long-term, had a limited use to it. And I completely agree with you, and we do have a process to be put underway in reviewing our halls and buildings generally around their fit for useness as they currently stand, and then also into the future, are they fit for purpose for emerging, changing needs? As it relates to this particular building, it would be fantastic to have it utilised to the highest level possible, and storage is not the highest possible use, but it is the considered view of infrastructure that it is not currently in a condition where we can safely allow it to be habited and a community space. That said, we have not invested, because we do not have budget to invest in the relevant building surveyor, engineering, etc. works to make a proper assessment of it. We'll be able to unpack that more when we go into closed, but in its current form, it is only available for that storage use.
Thank you. Do I have any other? Yes,
I just have
Councillor?
a general question on the history of the building. What has it been used for in the past, and when was it last used? Has it been vacant for a long period of time?
I will pass that through to Director Grimsby. Let's not go back all the way into our history, but
through you, Mayor, it was used for storage and for some purposes of the Signet Living History Museum for a number of years. That's the first lease that I'm aware of that building.
Okay. Do we have any other? Yes, Councillor O'Neill?
Well, if we start, it's not fit for purpose at the moment for certain things, but we're not saying it can't be upgraded. So I don't see. We just got to see what's available and what groups are willing to offer to assist in its upgrade. So just keep an open mind and find out a bit more information.
Thank you. All right, Councillor Gibson. You want to close?
Yes, I mean, I guess just in answer to, just responding to Councillor Jessop's comment about its positional, I think another thing that's interesting about it is its proximity to the skate park, where there's quite a lot of issues around, bullying and drugs and various things. So I think having an active space there could also be very positive.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'll put that, if there's no other, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's Councillor Burgess, O'Neill, Gibson, Doyle and Thorpe. And against is Councillor Armstrong and Jessop. The motion is carried. Agenda number 15.00424, Annual General Meeting Resolution, Lease and Horticultural Support for Enabling Small-Scale Production in the Yuan Valley. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor Jessup?
I'd like to move an amended motion. Sorry, Mayor. I believe the council is already taking action on the food hub type activity. We've got an officer who's doing that. So I actually think the last statement, and this is on the hop because I'm just thinking about this, I don't think the last statement is true, and I'm trying to think of a wording that the council refers this to our, and I can't remember the name of the officer who's doing this. Yes, can anybody help me? But I suppose what I'm saying, the council refers this recommendation to that officer for consideration, because I think we've got a food hub project, and yeah, I think this should be thrown into the mix, not just we do nothing about it. Am I barking up a wrong tree here, Mayor?
So you're referring to the last recommendation B?
Part B, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the officers responsible for this were authoring the report, so it's already inclusive of their considered advice.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the conclusion recommendation.
Yeah.
If you, both the food hub and...
Yeah.
We do. I would note as well, though, the question earlier from Dr. Smith around increasing the. I mean, that was around specifically improving our publicising of the Heartland project. But I think generally this is the report I categorise as one where it says we should be in the space of facilitating and advocating as opposed to directly delivering it, which is a more cost-effective way of stakeholders and potentially getting just wider engagement, a better outcome anyway. So you may wish to consider expanding that, promoting the Heartland component to just generally the wider promotion of the projects we already have underway.
Yes, councillor Jessup.
I was
Gibson.
going to amend it myself and was wondering whether we could say something quite simple that council will remain open to any opportunities that come up, because I think it is a good idea and initiative, but I also understand that we have no budget against it. But I think that the sooner we get the Huron Valley active and I agree with Dr. Smith too about encouraging youth in this area, the sooner we get producing, the better in terms of resilience.
So maybe the council officers monitor and refer any opportunities back to council, because it's just B is too closed for me, because we've got staff who are doing stuff, and it's just a bit like the Scrubby Hill thing down at Geeveston. If another opportunity like that came up, I think officers should explore it and bring it back for discussion. But so that's all I'm saying. That just counts. We're
Well,
not
what
closed,
would you-
because
And officers,
clearly we are.
So officers would, through the project, the work they're doing, but your recommendation just makes this less closed, as you say.
Well,
and just,
we're basically telling them to stop thinking about it. So my suggestion is, and that council refers this recommendation to officers to monitor and report back to council.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get that, Matt?
Is that acceptable?
Yep.
Matthew?
Well, I think it's contrary to the advice that you've been given, but it's certainly acceptable to council.
Yeah.
Well, it's not saying that council actively goes out and develops things, but it's actually saying that council just isn't closed to that. Whereas I think that B is too closed, given the investment that we have been doing in the food hub project.
Maybe just take B away, just omit it completely.
So, do you want to...
There's a creative solution, councillor.
Is there a seconder to councillor Jessup's amendment to the motion? Yes? So Could you read that back out again, please?
The council refers the motion to officers to monitor and report back to council. Report back on any opportunities to council. Any opportunities that should arise to council. Sorry, mate. I will be sure when Director reads it back to me.
Through you, Mayor, what's proposed is a new paragraph B. The council refers resolution
To relevant officers?
to relevant officers. At the end of the day, you refer it to the Chief Executive Officer.
Okay.
And the Chief Executive Officer allocates.
Okay, yep, fair
to
enough.
The Chief Executive Officer to monitor and report back on any opportunities that should arise to council. That should arise, comma, to council.
Is that workable, Mayor, for the General Manager?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. That's why it's nice to have them thought about.
My apologies to the staff that, yes, it
Thank
was.
you.
Sometimes the creative processes take a while.
Okay, do we have any other comments on that? No? Do you want to close on?
Certainly, Mayor. Look, it's not. It is a evolving space, and we have other organisations like the Community Church in Geeveston who's been saying they'd like to set up a community garden, for example. So I think there's a fertile space. I know how difficult it is to do that, so I'm not saying we're going to have a growth of those things, but where there are community groups, I know in the Ranelagh Recreation Ground study there were groups that wanted to find space to do that and looked at the rec ground, for example. So I think there is interest. I think we need to be open to that. We have officers who are designated to pursue that policy. So really it's just saying that we are open for business if it comes apart, but I'm not expecting council officers to go out and look for land to put a veggie patch on. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll put that amended motion. All those in, is that right?
Yeah, just motion.
Just motion, okay. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion is carried. Okay. 15.005/24, Annual General Meeting Resolution, publication of submissions received on engagement and the draft land use development strategy. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move a motion, please? Councillor Jessup, a seconder. Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Jessup, do you wish to speak to this?
Yeah, I think the recommendation of the officers is fine and will assist in the broader discussion of planning issues in the Huon Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any other? No? Do you wish to close? Okay. If that's the case, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion is carried. Agenda number 15.006/24, Annual General Meeting Resolution, Tasmanian Planning Commission, consideration of the draft local provisions schedule. Do I have a councillor? I'll refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move that for me, please? Councillor Armstrong, and a seconder. Councillor Jessup, Councillor Armstrong. Do you wish to speak to this? Any other questions or? No? Yes?
Mayor, if I just might, as a free advert for the Planning Commission, they are back here on Tuesday, Thursday and Friday in the middle of February, and there'll be some closing submissions. So I think, all councillors I'd encourage to at least pop your head into one of those days, because it is the most exciting circus in town on that day. And, you know, so many people in the community have committed time to it, and I think it's well worth it, and looking forward to the outcome of it.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong, do you wish to close? Okay. I'll put that then. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all, councillors. Motion is carried. Agenda number 16.001/24, financial report. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move the... Yes. Councillor O'Neill and a seconder. Councillor Gibson. Councillor O'Neill, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Yeah, just one point I'd like to discuss. Probably not change it at all, but there's a section B says we're going to charge a oil recycling fee of $1 to recover costs that now exists for the collection of waste oil. I understand we have to do this probably, but I think it's something that the council, with state government or someone, we have to explore the impact on the environment by putting an extra cost on this waste product. It's going to put probably a 20% extra cost on someone that changes their own oil in the car, and it may not be tipped down the sink, but it may be stored in drums for years and years until they sort of rust out. So this is a statewide issue. Our workplace, the AAD, has also been used to get rid of waste oil for no charge, and now we're being charged $1. So I think this has implications for our environment, and it's something we need to discuss with other government bodies.
Thank you for that. I'll pass that through.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that, acknowledge it straight up, and it does need, we were among others, caught out by the change. It's not inappropriate that that users pay for the waste that they generate, but we will take that forward from a regional level to see what can be done to manage the environmental and other costs that are associated with this.
Yes.
Don't know if it's true or not, but my understanding was that there was a value on waste oil in the mining industry on the West Coast. It was used for drying a product. I'm not sure if that's true or not. That's what I've heard. So we need to explore if there's still a value on this product, and if another supplier might be able to dispose of it for less money.
Thank you for that. Yeah, we'll make contact with the council around there and see if there is something that they are doing that we don't know about. Thank you. Yes, any other? Yes?
I've got just to comment on that. So we burn it instead of, anyway, but moving
Yeah.
on. But look, a couple of comments. I note the improved deficit and through, things like interest rates and medical services, and, encourage the staff to keep focusing on that. So that's great. But a question through you, Mayor. So in 30 September, we had 17% of our capital activities completed, and I note in this report, in paragraph whatever it is, that we're up Capital Works Program, paragraph 22. The Capital Works Program is underway and around 53% of the budget. So can you give us a quick the highlights of how that's a big jump in a quarter. So what have we achieved that has come to pass? Sorry about not having that on notice too.
Okay, no problems.
That's okay. It is normal for the Capital Works program, given it's a summer program. So this is what happens each time, and you'll get another significant jump over the next quarter. For highlights, I'll throw to Director Sue.
It is quite a substantial amount of the resealing program. So the sealed roads, we traditionally do that, as Lockie said, in the last quarter of and the first quarter of this year when the weather is at its best. We've also completed a number of stormwater. So we really lock the contractors in during this period to make sure that we get as much of that Capital Works program delivered as we can. So we've done Abels Bay Road, we've done a fair bit of Esperance Coast Road, so some of those big ticket items have been progressed through this last quarter. And as Lockie said, we will see the majority of our expenditure completed through this next quarter.
Do I have any other? Yes, Councillor Burgess?
If I could, Mayor, I see that the outstanding rates run at about 40%. Is that people aren't due to pay yet, or are these the ones that are out of date, overdue?
Okay, can I pass that through to the Director?
Through you, Mayor. They're not scheduled to pay as yet, so that's why we're at that level. You'll see that there is a table in the report that the actual report of the attachments that shows the level of outstanding rates, and it shows the aged accounts receivable and the timing of those that are outstanding, and you can see there's very few that are outstanding at this point in time.
I'd like to know those figures myself, they're very good age.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other questions?
I think we've noted it in a previous council meeting, but a shout out to the staff that have really concentrated in the last few months on those aged accounts and have really driven it down and supported those community members in doing that. So it's a hard piece of work, but necessary to manage our finances.
Okay, have you got any closing, Councillor O'Neill? Okay, all right. I'll put that, if those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors? Well, was that all councillors? Can we do that?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, thank you. Can we do that again, please? That's all councillors?
It ended in my head, but I'll just let it go.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. 17.00124, Annual General Meeting Resolution Report on Dead Trees on Cygnet Coast Road. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor Armstrong, seconded. Councillor Gibson. Councillor Armstrong, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Not particularly, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have any other? Yes, Councillor O'Neill.
Yeah, just a question. Is the ownership of a tree a certain meterage back from the road verge, or is it dictated by fence lines?
Okay, I'll pass that through to the CEO.
It varies based on title boundaries, but basically if it's within our road reserve,
Yep.
it's our tree to deal with.
Okay.
Or the state government's if it's a state government road.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, do I have any other questions on this? No? Councillor Armstrong, do you wish to close?
Just briefly, Mayor, I'm just really, this is another thing that the community often ask me, risk and focus on dead trees and removal. And, given there is a risk to it, I'm actually quite glad that council's really stepped up with checking out what should be there and what shouldn't be there. These are really windy, little narrow roads with trees overhanging all over the place. So I know it upsets some people that would like to see them there, and yes, they look pretty, but it's good to see council getting around and actually checking out more places. Thank you.
Yes, we had a few removed off Esperance Coast Road that were dangerous as well, so no, it's good. Okay, so if there's no other, I'll ask all those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. The motion is carried. Agenda number 18.001/24, Yuan Valley Community Recovery Plan. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move that motion, please? Councillor Gibson, and a seconder. Councillor Burgess. Councillor Gibson, do you wish to speak to this?
Only to say I think it's really good that it's in place. I went through it and thought it looked pretty thorough.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, Councillor Armstrong?
I actually read this too, and it was a really good job. It's a really good report. I think we've all been hanging out for a report that's been specific. We've all talked about it for a long time, and it's really nice to have nailed it.
Yep.
So I just think everyone's done a really good job, so thanks whoever was involved.
Thank you. Any other? No? You like to close? Okay, all right, and I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. And the motion is carried. Agenda number 18.002/24, Annual General Meeting Resolution establishing regular community forums. I refer councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor Jessup. And a seconder? Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Jessup, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, always, Mayor. Look, I believe bringing democracy to the people is a great opportunity. I note, though, that we do a lot of engagement activities. Sometimes there might be only one person and a dog there doing it, but there are opportunities for the community to engage. I am a little bit concerned that we have one community engagement officer in a comms team that is of only a few people. So I'm noting that this is a recommendation to look at through the budget process, but these things do take some budget to do well, and there's no point paying lip service and just saying we're going to do it. So if we're going to do it, let's do it. But I do think the idea of inviting and bringing community groups in to share ideas and information, but also I think it requires a commitment from the councillors to attend these, to listen as well, and bring it forward. So it's a great notion. I just hope we can make it work and fit it into our budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have any other? Yes?
Well, just to say that, I think council's engagement with the community is a very, very high priority, and I think that the community forums would be definitely a useful tool in that.
We did have them. We had them before, and they were greatly, they were. Do I have any other comments to make there? No? Would you like to close, Councillor?
Yes, Mayor. I think it's a really good reflection on the maturity of this council that we feel confident enough to do these. I think, over the past 10 years, I'm sure there would have been some council groups that would have been quite scared of a community engagement, but I think note the humour from the gallery.
Yeah.
But look, I do think there are risks, of course, in it, and we sometimes do hear things that we don't want to hear, but I do think we are rebuilding the trust in the community, and we're at the right stage to put our necks on the block and take it on chin if we have to. Mayor.
Well, it's not engagement if you're not prepared to take the good with the bad, so
Absolutely.
that's how you grow.
We'll put Lockie out the front of it, don't you worry.
But that's how they ran before when we went to towns. So, all right. So you've had your closing remarks. Yeah, good. Okay. Well, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. And the motion is carried. Agenda number 18.003/24, Annual General Meeting Resolution establishing creative subcommittees at Franklin Palais Theatre and the Signet Town Hall. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor, Gibson, and Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Gibson, do you wish to speak to this?
Yeah, I think that getting engagement in our halls is really good community builder, good for the halls. it's an all-round good thing. I do question slightly whether it's only the local community that should be consulted on each hall, and halls such as the Franklin Palais really service a much bigger area than, and it's a Huon Valley wide asset as I see it, although of course Franklin is the main community there, but I think also Huonville, being so close. So I guess I just have a question around with that issue about considering the local community's opinions on use, whether that should be broadened and to community's opinions on use. I had a question on that.
Is that in C?
Yeah.
That's at item C. Can I just off the cuff, my only concern would be managing the scale of engagement and consultation we need to do. If it's just community at large, are we looking at, are you talking local, like Franklin local, as opposed to your intent is Huon Valley community-wide consultation, which is fine, as opposed to going out to wider, the Palais is something that's enjoyed by people coming down from Hobart, etc. We're not going that far? Okay, well that's what I want to do, just make sure we know what the scope is.
Just open to people who from our municipal area that are interested in
So an amendment could literally be, we'll consider the community, so we just delete the word local.
That was my question. Yeah,
okay, and then community is taken to refer to the Huon Valley community.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Are you happy with that as well, the seconder? So that's just really removing then, isn't it? Okay. Do I have any other questions or on that? No? Yeah? Yes?
I'm just, the whole interplay of this, I'm not quite sure what the motion's actually calling for, that we're doing this anyway. I'm not sure if that's what it's sort of saying, if we're doing something special. But yeah, I'm wondering if this motion is, or this concept you'd be able to put off to the Arts and Culture Committee, because why do we have these subcommittees if not to manage this sort of engagement stuff and help grow the overall strategy for all of our venues and not just those two particular venues, because I know there's, the Geuston space upstairs is used and could be used, in my view, in a lot more varied ways if there were in community groups who wanted to do it. Even little halls like the Mountain River Hall, if we put some heating in it, might be great for a nighttime concert or something. But I'm just, why these two and why, I don't know.
Because it's in response to...
Oh, yes, I understand that. So I'm just sort of thinking is a response. So let's flick this back, this recommendation back to the Arts and Culture Committee to look at how it sits within our arts and culture space, I suppose. Yeah. Well, that's, for what it's worth, that's my thought.
Are you suggesting
bubble.
a point C in that, a D on that then, to say consult with the Arts and Culture Committee?
No, I think he's...
I'm almost saying flick the whole lot back and get the Arts and Culture Committee to chew it over and come back to us with a...
It is an AGM meeting.
Recommendation, yeah.
Yeah.
And consider creative subcommittees, and an appropriate response would also be to say that this motion be referred to the Arts and Culture Subcommittee to consider and look at in the broader strategic. Yeah, it just if we're not careful, we just do piecemeal stuff. And what I'm, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just note that the community hall review, which we've referred to, we do need to do that anyway across all halls.
Yep.
And so these are just ones of, we're specifically noting them, but it is work we do need to do for exactly what you raised before about the Weybridge Cottage, for example, just looking at these type of buildings and how we utilise them and what we do with them and what their intent is. So
if it fits within our current work plan, I'm also just conscious of not creating extra work.
Yeah, so it does. That's work that really needs to be done so that we can deliver for the community's expectation. So it's wrapped up in there, but I do think that referral back and engaging with the committee sits under that the community's opinions on use and et cetera. So they would have a say through that mechanism of item C anyway.
Happy with that?
Yes.
I mean, just, it is interesting because the motion at the general meeting was around a creative sub-board. So it was about not so much the hall management, but a separate board that was about creative use and about really, getting the halls used.
I suppose you'd
that
have to
way.
wait
So
to
that-
see whether you've got enough interest in having to do that through your community consultation, because you mightn't get enough people to do that. So I suppose that might come from your...
And that's why the intent there is to broaden the scope of it. So it's not just those two. It's just generally, is there a need for this and an interest in this creative subcommittee idea to get the validity. It's an idea that's been put to the AGM, so we'll take it forward and taking it forward through work that we've already got on our work plan, recognising that the community halls and other facilities aren't currently, in all cases, meeting the community's expectation, and we need the community to tell us clearly what that is so that we can manage those expectations and deliver better.
Okay, Councillor Burgess, yes?
I'm struggling to see that, the word subcommittee's been used. I mean, we're going to have committees running these halls, and can we mandate to say you must have a subcommittee such and such?
I'm not sure. Well,
I don't know.
no. Through you, Director?
Through the Mayor, Council can, but that may impact upon those people who wish to participate on the committee feeling obliged to participate on subcommittees of the committee. So there could be an impact in participation.
And before we get to the actual formation of them, we still need to, as I said, explore whether there is that broader desire for people to participate in this stuff across everywhere. So, we'll run the idea as put to us to ground through an existing work plan, and then we'll be coming back, and if there is the need for it and the value in it, then we'll look into how we actually establish that.
Yes, Councillor Gibson, you had something?
Well, I think we probably, I quite like Councillor Jessup's suggestion that there is a point D that says that we refer the idea of a creative subcommittee to be explored by the Arts and Culture Committee. Because points B and C are about the method of community governance on those two halls, but they don't, which is important. I mean, it's good work, and I'm glad it's in there, but it's not really attacking this idea of developing an arts and culture program that utilises the halls. So I'd
Okay.
like to amend it to put a point D in. Who was the mover?
You.
Oh well, there we go. Can I amend my motion then to add D, that to refer, just refer the idea of a creative subcommittee for discussion at the Arts and Culture Committee?
Councillor Armstrong, are you happy for that to be amended?
I just need to ask a question first, if that's okay.
Yep.
So I just need clarification, because I've got myself confused again when we start talking about all of this. So what the motion is asking for is that the committees would like a subcommittee or a focus group to assist them. Is that what they're asking? Sort of offering. So a committee wants a subcommittee.
Yeah, like a lot of committees do. They'll have fundraising committee part
Yes.
or whatever it might be.
Could they just not be volunteers?
Yeah,
that help?
they would be.
Yeah.
So they don't really need to have a subcommittee, do they? They could just have volunteers that help, which then removes all of this stuff that we have to be talking about right now.
Oh, they'd have to, if they're going to go off and be a a creative subcommittee that have to come back with some formal of what they were going to do or what they wanted to do.
Missing structure.
Yeah.
We're only talking about subcommittees because that's the way the AGM motion was
Yes,
presented to us.
that's right.
So as we explore that need and whether that has value, that may resolve in, instead of following that question at the AGM, it's subcommittees, it may end up with just voluntary groups or the need isn't established.
So, and that would be just for these 2 halls?
We would do it across all halls.
Which is my recommendation, why I think we need that. Because I think there is some value to, say, a hall committee that's focused on bricks and mortars and drainage and shit like that. Also can, if we have a common structure where they have a subcommittee where they can get local people who want to expand the use in an arts and culture space, because sometimes those things compete. We want it for indoor bowls all the time, and it's a pain in the butt to roll up the indoor bowl mat to put a tap dancing class in or something. So I think there are natural tensions, but I think we need to be very careful that we don't way into the middle of World War III as well. So that's why I'm sort of saying that the guidance of your subcommittee would be valuable as a bit of a template as well. So that's all I'm saying there is. Yeah.
So what's your words for that,
Councillor?
Councillor?
D, that the idea of establishing a creative subcommittee gets referred to the Arts and Culture Committee to report back to Council.
Have you got that? Yes? Okay. And you're happy with that? Yep, recommendation. All right. So is there any other comments or? No? You want to close, Councillor Gibson?
No, that was an interesting discussion. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. So I'll put that motion. Those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all, councillors. And the motion is carried. 19.001/24. We're about to move into closed council, so I'd like to thank those in the gallery tonight for attending and those watching at home. The next ordinary meeting of council is on Wednesday the 28th of February at 6 p.m. and we will have our new councillor. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Andy. The recommendation is that the meeting now be closed to the public at 7:38 p.m. pursuant to Regulation 15 of the Meeting Procedures Regulation to discuss the following matters: confirmation of minutes, general reports closed, expression of interest of lease in the Weybridge Cottage. Do I have a councillor to move a motion to go into closed? Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Burgess. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all, councillors. I advise that in accordance with the Huon Valley Council's audio recording of council meeting policy, recording of the open session of this meeting ceased at